In recent weeks, a confluence of dramatic market declines and contentious international trade policies has thrust the global stage into an era of heightened economic uncertainty and diplomatic strife. The unfolding scenario centers on the controversial approach adopted by President Donald Trump, a strategy that has not only rattled the US financial markets to their lowest levels in years, but has also elicited a robust response from world leaders. This report delves into the series of events that have defined the current economic landscape, examining how aggressive trade measures have fostered a climate of instability, both domestically and abroad. The US markets, long regarded as a barometer for economic health, experienced a steep and disconcerting downturn following a series of unilateral tariffs and trade maneuvers. As investors witnessed unprecedented losses, confidence in the domestic economy was severely undermined. It is against this backdrop of financial distress that international leaders have voiced their concerns, notably with French President Emmanuel Macron emphasizing the necessity for swift diplomatic engagement. Fencer Harm underscored the urgency of reconvening with US counterparts to address the disruptive announcements made by President Trump, statements that have far-reaching implications for international trade. He argued that the discord sown by these measures jeopardizes not only bilateral relations, but the broader stability required for global commerce. This diplomatic unease has manifested in concrete actions. Major European players, along with other influential economic entities, have decided to suspend forthcoming investment initiatives until there is a clearer understanding of US policy direction. The rationale behind this collective decision is rooted in the desire to avoid sending a contradictory signal to global investors. It would be unwise, they argue, to inject billions of euros into the American economy at a time when its fiscal landscape appears increasingly unpredictable. Auni Ernsten. This calculated pause highlights an emerging consensus among international actors. Economic solidarity and prudence are indispensable in the face of a volatile trade environment. At the core of this crisis lies President Trump's strategy to stimulate domestic investment through the imposition of stringent tariffs and a confrontational stance toward established trading partners. His approach, marked by aggressive rhetoric and a willingness to impose punitive measures, was ostensibly designed to coerce other nations into a posture of subservience. The underlying assumption was that by projecting strength and an uncompromising demeanor, international counterparts would capitulate to US demands, thereby catalyzing a surge in American investment. However, this presumption has proven to be fatally flawed. Instead of bending to pressure, global leaders have responded with a measured display of unity, signaling that economic dignity and mutual respect are non-negotiable. They have collectively decided to forego immediate financial commitments until a more stable and predictable policy framework emerges from Washington. The response from key global players underscores the depth of their dissatisfaction. For instance, the coordinated reaction among China, Japan, and South Korea reflects a broader strategy to counteract the economic disruptions triggered by US tariffs, rather than acquiescing to the demands of the US. These nations have announced plans to adjust their trade policies in a manner that challenges the notion of American supremacy in global commerce. In a recent interview, economic commentator Jamie Rassin remarked that the policies pursued by the Trump administration appear to align disturbingly well with the interests of America's adversaries. According to Rassin, Trump's maneuvers have not only strained relations with traditional allies, but have also inadvertently bolstered the standing of those nations that have long stood in opposition to US economic dominance. The resulting scenario is one where the very measures intended to secure American prosperity have, in fact, accelerated a redistribution of global economic power. Beyond the strategic miscalculations lies a deeper, more nuanced failure. The underestimation of a fundamental human quality, dignity. In the realm of international diplomacy, leaders are expected to operate with a sense of self-respect and an understanding that short-term economic concessions are subordinate to the preservation of national honor. Yet, President Trump appears to have overlooked this critical element. As pointed out by several analysts, including a commentator identified as Marias, the president's inability to appreciate the intrinsic value of dignity has resulted in a severe misreading of the global political landscape. Leaders from around the world, who have long cultivated their reputations on the principles of self-respect and sovereign integrity, are not inclined to bow to pressure merely to secure transient economic benefits. Far. They are willing to endure short-term setbacks if it means upholding the long-term principles of decency and national pride. This miscalculation is particularly striking when contrasted with the composition of Trump's immediate circle. The president has long surrounded himself with loyalists who, critics argue, display little independent judgment or self-respect. The insular environment cultivated within his inner circle is marked by a pervasive deference, a quality that starkly contrasts with the resolute dignity observed among international leaders. Consequently, Trump's expectation that all world leaders would mirror the sycophantic behavior exhibited by his closest advisors has proven disastrously incorrect. The unwavering self-respect demonstrated by prominent figures on the global stage is now compelling international counterparts to stand their ground, even in the face of aggressive US economic policies. Within the domestic sphere, the consequences of this strategic misadventure are equally profound. Prominent voices within the US political commentary landscape, such as Laura Ingraham and Lindsey Graham, have attempted to frame the market downturn and the resultant economic instability as partisan, disputes, or mere political rhetoric. However, the reality for millions of Americans is far grimmer. The precipitous decline in stock values has led to significant losses in retirement savings, while households face mounting pressures from soaring mortgage rates, rising grocery costs, and an overall erosion of economic security. The administration's policy decisions, intended to galvanize economic strength, have instead precipitated a cascade of hardships that are now felt in every corner of American society. Even as President Trump has portrayed himself as a stalwart defender of American interests, the tangible outcomes of his policies paint a starkly different picture. The deliberate imposition of tariffs and the accompanying economic isolationism have not only destabilized the markets, but have also undermined essential services. Sir, from air traffic controllers to food and drug safety inspectors, critical sectors have experienced widespread disruption as experienced professionals are dismissed or sidelined. The broader implication is a weakening of the governmental apparatus, a system that is vital for ensuring the smooth functioning of both the economy and society as a whole. The cumulative effect of these decisions is a fragmentation of the social and economic fabric that has long underpinned American prosperity. It is instructive to consider the broader implications of this policy trajectory. The economic fallout is not merely a temporary setback, but a harbinger of deeper systemic issues that may persist long after the immediate crisis subsides. The suspension of major investments by key international players is a clear indicator that trust in the US economic model has been profoundly shaken. This erosion of confidence is likely to have far-reaching consequences, potentially redirecting global capital flows and altering the dynamics of international trade for years to come. As the world watches with bated breath, the imperative for a recalibrated, more respectful approach to global economic relations becomes increasingly evident. In summation, the series of events that have unfolded in recent weeks serve as a stark reminder of the delicate balance that underpins both domestic economic stability and international diplomacy. President Trump's aggressive tactics, underpinned by a misplaced belief in the efficacy of intimidation, have not only precipitated a severe market downturn, but have also alienated key global partners. The ensuing backlash, characterized by collective investment suspensions and firm diplomatic responses, underscores a fundamental truth. The pursuit of national interest cannot come at the expense of mutual respect and international cooperation. The lessons emerging from this tumultuous period are clear. Economic policies that rely on coercion and hostility are inherently unsustainable, particularly in an interconnected global environment where dignity and self-respect are non-negotiable. Leaders who prioritize these values are better equipped to navigate the complexities of international trade, ensuring that short-term challenges do not undermine long-term prosperity. As the United States grapples with the repercussions of its current trajectory, the call for a measured, principled approach to policymaking has never been more urgent. Ultimately, the burden of accountability rests squarely on those at the helm of the administration. The American people, and indeed the global community, must now reckon with the profound consequences of decisions made in the pursuit of fleeting political gain. As market indices falter, personal fortunes dwindle, and the very fabric of economic stability is called into question, it is incumbent upon leadership to reassess its priorities and restore a sense of dignity and reliability to the national agenda or gender. The path forward demands not only introspection, but also a renewed commitment to the principles that have long underpinned a resilient and prosperous society. In this critical juncture of global economic realignment, the imperative for informed, respectful, and sustainable policymaking is undeniable. The world is watching, and the stakes could not be higher.